Hi there, welcome back to another enthralling episode of Geneva Blue. Today I'm going to carry on with the pronunciation of watch company names, which I started a few videos back. There's a massive list, it turns out, but I'm going to go through the B's. I'm not going to take up a lot of time with it because stuff I'll go into later on. The pronunciations have turned out to be a bite-sized history as well of some of the brands if I feel like it. I want to know about them basically. So I'm going to go starting off with Baume & Mercier, which is a brand. It's just Baume & Mercier. Again, that and two names of families, French names of families: Baume, the Baume family, and the Mercier family. Mercier is a funny name. It's Mercier. There's different French ways of saying it, even different sort of pronunciations. A Parisian person from Parisien from Paris will say merci. They really get quite guttural, but it's otherwise it's just Mercier. It is a bit of a tricky. It's not Mercier. It's as we would say it, Mercier. That's an old company from 1830, which was sold to the Richemont Group in '88, I think. It's kind of the lower end of the Richemont stable, so to speak. But it's been around a long time, obviously. It's been named Baume & Mercier since 1918. That's an old company. Then we got Bedat & Co. or Bedat & Co. It's a company that was started in Geneva in '96, but sold to a Malaysian family. They do mostly ladies' watches. Bedat & Co. The French would say Bedat & Co. It's pretty much anglicised because most of the markets are English speaking, so it's Bedat & Co. Then we've got Blancpain, which is it's a classic. It's a cool story. It's part of the Swatch group now, obviously, and they do pretty nice watches. Blancpain is just composed of blanc and pain, which is white bread in French, but it's Blancpain. Jean-Claude Bivet bought the rights to the Blancpain name after they went bust in the '70s with the quartz crisis. He bought that in '81, I think, and for 22 grand, as the story goes, 22,000 Swiss francs, and then he sold it to the Swatch Group in '92 for 60 million Swiss francs. So he did pretty well out of that. Old Jean-Claude Bivet. He's a bit of a legend in the industry. Obviously now heading up Hublot and the LVMH brands, basically. Then we've got Beauvais Fleurier, or Beauvais is the name of the company. Beauvais is a family name, B-O-V-E-T, Beauvais. Fleurier is the town they're in. It's a town where you find Kari Voutilanen, Vaucher Manufacture, and Chopper have a manufacturer up there. Really nice area up in the Jura Mountains of Switzerland. When I say mountains, it's not like the massive Alps or the big rugged hills. It's just a big rolling hills, 1,000 to 1,500 meters, most of it. The Jura Mountains runs from almost Basel right down to Geneva. And that's where there's a lot of watchmaking goes on up there. This is a beautiful area, Fleurier. It's called the Val de Travers, or the valley that runs through the Jura Mountains. Their head office and their watchmaking workshops now are in a beautiful old castle, a really old castle from, I don't know, 18th century probably. Beauvais is from 1822 originally when they started out that company. It's recently been bought by a French businessman called Pascal Raffi, and he's done a good job of bringing, really making some nice watches out of there, high complication watches. The castle they're in, just as an anecdote, as a side story, it's a beautiful spot up on the side of a hill you can see from the valley, and that's the castle where I had my wedding breakfast when I was married a while back. All my family come over to Switzerland. I got married there, not far away from down on the plain, the other side of the hills, and we ended up in that castle, in the Fleurier, or the Motier Castle, it was called, Chateau de Motier. And yeah, so I'm kind of familiar with that castle. It's a beautiful place, and that's Beauvais. Then we got Breguet. Breguet obviously is well known because every starting out watchmaker will, if you're learning about the history of watchmaking, they learn about Breguet's contributions to watchmaking, inventing different curves for the hairspring. The tourbillon obviously invented, and that company's been around since 1775. It's been a Swatch Group company since 99. He did lots of different things. He invented lots of different stuff. Breguet, obviously a very classic styled company, a watch piece company. Breguet, you say it. And then we've got Breitling. Breitling's a bit tricky because it's sort of in the Swiss-German part. It's that part where they do speak a bit of French there, but it's also German, so it's got a couple of different pronunciations really. In German, they'd say Breitling. In French, it's Breitling, but the R is always a bit tricky. Actually, the Germans say the R, but not the French, really. That's been around since 1884 as well. Leon Breitling started that. It's not a bad company. It's just been the new CEO. It's been taken over again by a new management, and it should be really good because the CEO is a great guy. He's done some great stuff elsewhere. So we'll see good things from Breitling in the future. Then we've got Bulgari. Bulgari is Italian, obviously. It's part of the LVMH group now. And I don't know how they say it in Italian actually down there. Bulgari, probably something like that. But the French say Bulgari. It's actually from French, a Greek word, Latin, which is why they put the U as a V. You see on the brand name. In Latin, there was no real U, so it's like this V. Obviously, they use a U sound, but the letter is more like a V. That's Bulgari. It's a French that. Pelagos, I mentioned before, two guys from Paris, Carlos Rosillo and Bruno Mitch. In '92, they started that company. They shortened both their names to make it Pelagos, or Bell and Ross, we'd say, basically. And then there's Ludovic Ballois I've added as well. Ludovic is a independent watchmaker from France, from northern France, I believe. Great guy. He does some really cool watch designs. He invented basically the upside down watch, where all the numbers are on the dial are upside down. They flick around just for that when it's that hour, basically. Ludovic Ballois. Look him up. Good guy. He's an ex FP Journe watchmaker. He did 7-8 years there before he launched his own brand and doing some great stuff. That's pretty much the bees. I wanted to mention that talk about the watchmaking holidays, as they call it in Switzerland. They have this thing called the vacances horlogeres, which I think the industry made up really. It's in August when it's the peak of summer over there and when everyone has holidays. The rest of the country just calls it summer holidays, the vacances d'été. But the vacances horlogeres, that's when most of the manufacturers basically shut down for a couple of weeks. Anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 weeks. A lot of departments will have a skeleton staff for a couple of weeks as well around that period, before and after, because people will often get away for 2 or 3 weeks. It's the main holidays in Europe, and basically everyone shuts down. So if you want to get anything done, it's pretty impossible. Some companies will have an after-sale service department which will still be there, but for the main manufacturing, where there's not time critical really, most of the big companies will just shut down. Everyone goes away on holidays, and that's pretty much the whole country or the continent. A lot of people go away in the summertime. And that's that period based. And the reason I'm banging on about that is that I've got my vacances horlogeres coming up. I'm going away, so there'll probably don't know if there's been any videos next week, possibly. If I get time, maybe not. The week after, definitely not. We're going up to Coral Bay next week. If you're not from WA, you might not know where that is. It's way up north. It's 1,100 k's north of Perth, basically. Apparently, it's an awesome spot, one of the best spots in the world for snorkeling and diving. So that's going to be me, basically. Future videos, I'll talk about the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie Genève, GPHG. Also a bit more about this watch, my two-liner Pelagos, which is my go-to. And that's all I can think of right now, so I'm going to stop it right there. It's already long enough. Cheers.